Chapter 7. The iron gates of White Rock Castle didn't just open, they groaned, exactly like an ancient beast waking up from a nightmare. As we crossed the threshold, the shimmering magical barrier washed over my skin like a wave of static electricity, making the tiny hairs on my arms stand up. The courtyard inside was a miserable expanse of frozen cobblestones, training dummies, and heavily armed soldiers who looked like they hadn't smiled in a decade. The sheer, suffocating weight of the place hit me instantly. This wasn't a home, it was a bunker waiting for the end of the world. Stay quiet, Sasha murmured, with her voice tense. She didn't look at me. Her green eyes were fixed on the far end of the courtyard where a massive set of oak doors was swinging open. A man strode out into the freezing wind, flanked by two heavily armored guards. He was incredibly imposing, wrapped in a thick blue cloak, with gray eyes that looked like shattered ice. His face was carved with deep, harsh lines of grief and absolute authority. This was Lord Remus. He didn't look like a welcoming host. He looked like a man who spent his evenings calculating acceptable casualty rates. Vera immediately stiffened beside me. Her fangs clicked together as she instinctively took a half step backwards. Alexandra, Remus said. His voice was a deep rumble that carried easily over the howling wind. You return early, and with half your unit missing. Sasha stopped dead. Her spine snapped completely straight. We were ambushed at the Nexus Library. The department breached the shields quick and Zyle didn't make it out. Remus didn't flinch. He didn't offer comfort. His cold gray eyes simply shifted from his daughter to me. And you brought a human straight to my fortress? You know the risks of exposing our location. He's not a stray, father, Sasha said. Her voice was tight with defensive desperation. She pointed a trembling, soot-stained finger at my forehead. Look at the mark. Remus stepped closer. His heavy boots crunched on the frost. He loomed over me, staring directly at the glowing golden circle on my skin. For the briefest second, a flash of genuine shock broke through his warlord facade. A simian descendant, Remus breathed, as his tone dropped into a dangerous whisper. You brought a walking beacon for the department straight to my gates? We couldn't leave him, Sasha argued. Her hands sparkled faintly with orange magic. If Alinius gets his hands on the bloodline, he controls the entire corridor. We can use him. We will do nothing of the sort. Remus cut her off. We are barely holding the defensive lines as it is. I will not invite the full wrath of the Six Worlds upon this castle for a boy who doesn't even know how to hold a sword. He turned his icy glare to the guards. Lock him in the upper tower. We will decide what to do with him in the morning. No! Sasha stepped directly between me and the guards, with her fire flaring to life. He stays with me. I pulled him out of the fire, and I am responsible for him. Remus stared at his daughter. A silent, furious battle of wills passed between them. Finally, he let out a harsh, exhausted breath. Fine, keep him out of sight. If I see him wandering the halls, I will throw him off the battlement myself. He shot one last venomous look at Vera, and keep the leech chained. Without another word, he turned and marched back into the keep. I stood there, completely stunned. My sneakers were freezing to the cobblestones. Wow, Father of the Year, I muttered. Does he charge you for breathing the air, or it's included in the rent? Shut up, Max, Sasha snapped, grabbing my wrist and dragging me aggressively towards a side entrance. Move! She hauled me up 3 flights of spiraling stone stairs. My legs were burning, and my lungs were practically wheezing by the time she finally shoved open a heavy wooden door and pushed me inside. I stumbled into the room, preparing myself for a grim dungeon cell or an armory filled with medieval torture devices. Instead, I blinked, completely convinced that my brain had finally snapped from the stress. The room was aggressively, violently pink. Thick, rose-colored tapestries completely covered the cold stone walls. A massive bed in the corner was piled high with fluffy lavender pillows. In the center of the room sat an armchair that literally glowed with a soft, magical, neon pink light. But the absolute centerpiece of this surreal nightmare was a giant stuffed Hello Kitty plushie sitting proudly on the nightstand, staring at me with its blank, soulless black eyes. I looked at the plushie. I looked at Sasha, who was literally still covered in soot and the blood of department agents. "You have got to be kidding me," I said flatly. "Not a word," Sasha growled, with her face flushing as she kicked the heavy oak door shut behind us and locked it with a metallic sound. "You just melted a man inside his armor," I pointed out, gesturing wildly at the glowing pink armchair. "And you sleep in a sugar plum fever dream? What is happening right now? Am I having a stroke?" "It's my room, okay?" she yelled. Her voice cracked with sudden, overwhelming exhaustion. She collapsed onto the edge of the pink bed, putting her head in her hands. The fiery warlord act completely vanished, leaving behind a terrified, grieving girl. "My mother decorated it before she died, and I haven't changed it. Happy now?" The cynicism died instantly in my throat. I stood there awkwardly in my damp clothes. The adrenaline rapidly drained out of my system, leaving me hollow and freezing. Look," I said quietly, rubbing the back of my neck. "I'm sorry about your mom, and I'm sorry about your friends in the library, but I don't belong here. I don't care about the corridor or the department or whatever magic rock I'm supposedly tied to. I just want to go back to Earth." Sasha looked up. Her green eyes blazed with fresh, angry tears. "You can't go back. Don't you get it, Max? The second you step out of these shields, they will find you. They will lock you in a dark room and drain your soul to keep their portals running." "And staying here is better?" I shot back, with my own panic finally boiling over. "Your dad just threatened to throw me off a wall. Your vampire friend wants to drink my blood. I am a normal kid. I have a math test on Tuesday." "You are not normal," Sasha screamed, jumping to her feet. "You have a target painted on your face, and I just watched two of my friends get crushed to the death to keep you breathing. So you are going to sit in that stupid pink chair, you are going to stay quiet, and you are going to survive. Because if you die now, everything we lost today was absolutely for nothing." The sheer, raw desperation in her voice hit me like a physical blow. The silence in the room stretched out, suffocating and heavy, broken only by the howling of the winter wind, rattling the thick glass of the window. I looked at the door. It was locked. I looked at Sasha, whose hands were still shaking. I slowly walked over to the absurd, glowing pink armchair and sat down. It was incredibly comfortable. "Fine," I muttered, staring blankly at the floor. "But if that Hello Kitty thing starts talking to me, I'm jumping out the window."